is not something we talk about enough. We need to have more conversations about the protracted heartbreak that stems from feeling helpless as we watch someone we love suffer.
Too hot for me.
And that suffering pulls us down. Last, our silence about grief serves no one.
Garlic?
We run from grief because lost cares us. Yes, our heart beats toward grief because the broken heart is
Papa.
Yes? Onions.
No one ever told me that grief felt so clear. We can't rise from when we're on the run.
What's your nose?
Yeah, just the ends first. And then you say...
What's those?
Expectations and
What's your nose?
Which one?
Those. Oh, noises.
frustration, or anger.
I'm gonna help you turn it.
Something that, for some reason, just didn't turn out the way we hoped it would.
Let me help you
We
turn
usually
it.
see in our story for phrases like, I had my heart found,
Oh, you're my cook. That is so.
or the expressions that we show us, we might be serving with disappointment. Here's what you need to know about
I'm
this.
gonna help you. Please, I'm gonna help you.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna put this in.
The more significant the expectation, the more significant the disappointment. The way we address this is to be upfront about our expectations. By taking time to reality check what we're expecting and why. Expectations often filter along, right under our radar.
Not turning. I'm gonna turn it.
You can't turn the camera. It's already focused there, okay?
I'm gonna help you.
I know. You're helping me.
Look at those. I can turn those?
These ones?
Yeah.
Those are dried shrimp. Okay?
What's with the dry shrimps? Oh, the snap. Oh, the snap. Okay. You must snap. You must snap.
Yeah, hold on.
I'm gonna help you turn it.
Wait.
We have the tendency to visualize an entire scenario, a conversation, or outcome. And when things don't go the way we'd imagined, disappointment can become visible. This often happens when our expectations are based on outcomes we can't control, like what other people think, what they feel, or how they're going to react. For example, it's going to be a great holiday. My sister wants me to love her gift and be so impressed with dinner. Or, I can't wait to share my project I do with the team tomorrow. They're going to be blown away. For Steve and me, self-expectations, disappointment, and resentment have been the sources of some of our most difficult arguments. About 5 years ago, we noticed a pattern where one of us would slip into resentment after a weekend of trying to jointly juggle our family's hectic soccer, birthday party, sleepover, school project, church schedules, along with our own personal things. So eventually, Steve, when we were flying solo, but how on earth could it be easier for Steve to hold down the fort in the tent?
What's your nose?
Why is it simple for me to navigate a busy weekend when he's on call and at the hospital for hours on end? That the course of our week away, I suddenly heard what I was saying. He was our kid.
You're gonna be
We're
mixing.
going to be at Disney World with 5 kids for 7 days. You know what they have to do? With a sign that said, you must be this tall to ride. Sure enough, we were out the door by 8 o'clock every morning of that vacation, and I didn't read a thing. But we had a great time once I had reality checked my expectations. I've heard people say disappointment is like a paper cut.
This one?
Yeah.
But not long lasting. I do believe we can heal disappointment,
Whoa.
but it's important
No,
not
I
to
don't want
underestimate
to.
the damage it inflicts on our spirit.
So then,
I recently watched the magnificent Japanese animated film, Spirited Away. There's a scene in the film where a young boy named Haku
I'm a great helper.
is being attacked
Great
by a
helper,
relentless
that's for
swarm
sure.
of birds.
I'm a great
The
helper.
attackers are actually origami birds, and they cut into Haku, leaving him battered and bloodied. Disappointments may be like paper cuts, but if those cuts are deep enough, or if there are enough of them, they can leave us seriously wounded.
I'm gonna put
Ruckman's
those.
disappointment, resentment, and expectations is essential. These experiences permeate every
I'm a
aspect of our
mix.
personal and professional lives.
And
A lifetime of unexplored
water.
disappointments can make us
more.
bitter, and stored up resentment is passive. Nelson Mandela wrote,
I'm gonna help you
resentment
with
is like drinking
water.
poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. Wholeheartedness requires being conscious of the
Whoa,
litany of
it
expectations
burns.
that hum along
I'm
below
gonna
the
help you
surface,
mix.
so we can reality check our thinking. This process can lead to stronger and deeper relationships and connections. Rumbling with love,
I'm
belonging,
gonna
and
help
heartbreak.
you.
Heartbreak is more than just a particularly hard form of disappointment or failure. It hurts in an entirely different way, because heartbreak
And a
is
cover.
always connected to love and love. Over time,
Alright.
the more I thought about heartbreak and love, the more clearly I realized how vulnerable we are when we love anyone. The brokenhearted are the bravest
wait.
among us. They dare to love. When I ran this idea by my dear friend and mentor, Joe Reynolds, an Episcopal priest and one of the wisest people I know, he was quiet for a while
What do you want to drink?
and said, yes,
I'm putting
I do think
this.
heartbreak is about
I'm
love.
putting
I just want to think about it some more. A couple of days later, he sent me a letter sharing his thoughts
You gotta let it
and
melt a
gave me
little bit.
permission to include it here.
See, it's icy.
Joe writes,
It's too cold.
heartbreak
Yeah.
is an altogether different thing.
That's
Disappointment
juice.
doesn't grow into heartbreak.
Yeah?
We found it. Well, I'm gonna
Heartbreak
fall.
comes from the loss of love.
Alright, we gotta wait
Perceived
for
loss of love.
7
Our heart
minutes.
can be
Okay?
broken only by someone or
Now we
something
got
like my
open
dog.
it.
Though a part of me
No, it's
really
icy.
believes
We gotta
my
let
dog
it
is
melt a
person
little bit.
to whom I have
Can't
given my
use the
heart.
straw.
There may be expectations both
Sure you
met
wanna do
and
that?
unmet in a relationship that ends in
Alright.
heartbreak. But disappointment is not the cause of heartbreak. There may be failures within a relationship. Indeed, there certainly will be. For we are imperfect vessels to hold the love of another person.
Me, I'm gonna do
But the
it.
failures didn't cause the heartbreak.
Okay. And
Heartbreak is what
what?
happens
Okay.
when love is lost.
I'm gonna call you back. Okay?
Heartbreak can come
You
from
can
being
help me.
rejected by the one you love. The pain is more intense when you thought the other person loved you. But the expectation of returned love isn't necessary for heartbreak. Unrequited love can be heartbreaking. The television shows the national conversations about what was really happening within families. I can't imagine the pressure of losing everything, trying to keep a family of six afloat while having no support or permission to be afraid or vulnerable. My parents were raised in families where talking about emotions was way down at the bottom of the list of things needed for survival. There was no space for talking about emotions. Instead, it was just grind on, more of the same, push harder, yell louder. The death of the idealized version of our parents, teachers, and mentors, a stage in the hero's journey, is always scary because it means that we're now responsible for our own learning and growth. That death is also beautiful because it makes room for new relationships, more honest connections between authentic adults who are doing the best they can. Of course, these new connections require emotional and physical safety. We can't be vulnerable and open with people who are hurting us. The birth of this new relationship with my parents also forced me to bury the idea that if you're smart or talented enough, you can shield your family from your pain. If you are struggling, your partner and children are also in the struggle. And that's okay, as long as we acknowledge the hurt, provide everyone with a safe space in which to talk about it, and don't pretend that we can compartmentalize pain. Struggle happens. We give our children a gift when we teach them that falls are inevitable and allow them to participate in a loving, supported, rising strong process. Rumbling with compassion and empathy. Claudia told me about the importance of seeing the world from the floor of the arena is central to the concept of compassion. The definition of compassion that most accurately reflects what I've learned from the research is from American Buddhist nun Brené. In her book, The Places That Scare You, Children writes, when we practice generating compassion, we can expect to experience our fear of pain. Compassion practice is daring. It involves learning to relax and allow ourselves to move gently toward what scares us. In cultivating compassion, we draw from the wholeness of our experience, our suffering, our empathy, as well as our cruelty and terror. It has to be this way. Compassion is not a relationship between of its real emotional consequences is to scrub the concepts of grit and resilience of the very qualities that make them both so important: toughness, doggedness, and perseverance. Yes, there can be no innovation, learning, or creativity without failure. But failing is painful. It fuels the I should have, I could have, which means judgment and shame are often lying in wait. Yes, I agree with Tennyson, who wrote, "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." But let me tell you this, heartbreak knocks the wind out of you, and the feelings of loss and longing can make getting out of bed a monumental task. Learning to trust and lean into love again can feel impossible. And yes, if we care enough and dare enough, we will experience disappointment. But in those moments when disappointment is washing over us, and we're desperately trying to get our heads and hearts around what is or is not going to be, the depth of our expectations can be painful beyond measure. The work being done by Ashley Good is a great example of how we must embrace the difficult emotion of falling. Good is the founder and CEO of Fail Forward, a social enterprise with a mission to help organizations develop cultures that encourage the risk-taking, creativity, and continuous adaptation required for innovation. She got started as a development worker in Ghana with Engineers Without Borders Canada, and was integral to the development of their failure reports and admittingfailure.com, a kind of online failure report where anyone can submit stories of failing and learning. These first reports were bold attempts to break the silence that surrounds failure in the nonprofit sector, a sector dependent on external funding. Frustrated by the learning opportunities missed because of that silence, Engineers Without Borders Canada collected its failures and published them in a glossy annual report. The organization's commitment to solving some of the world's most difficult problems, like poverty, requires innovation and learning. So it put achieving its mission before looking good and sparked a revolution. In her keynote address at FailCon Oslo, an annual failure conference in Norway, Good asked the audience for words they associated with the term failure. The audience members shouted out the following: sadness, fear, making a fool of myself, desperation, panic, shame, and heartbreak. Then she held up their failure report and explained that the 30 glossy pages included 14 stories of failure, proving that Engineers Without Borders had failed at least 14 times in the last year. She then asked the exact same audience what words they would use to describe the report and the people who submitted their stories. This time, the words shouted out included helping, generous, open, knowledgeable, brave, and courageous. Good made the powerful point that there's a vast difference between how we think about the term failure and how we think about the people and organizations brave enough to share their failures for the purpose of learning and growing. To pretend that we can get to helping, generous, and brave without navigating through some tough emotions like desperation, shame, and panic is a profoundly dangerous and misguided assumption. Rather than gold-plating grit and trying to make failure look fashionable, we'd be better off learning how to recognize the beauty in truth and tenacity. The badassery deficit. I know, badassery is a strange term, but I couldn't come up with another one that captures what I mean. When I see people stand